We are here in Tbilisi, just following the conclusion of the Caucasus Edition Conference on the Future of Armenia-Azerbaijan Relations. And we have the chance to chat for a bit with the director of the Caucasus Policy Analysis Center. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
So I'd like to start out with a question on something that you mentioned during the conference today. You talked about constructive ambiguity in peace building. What is that?
Constructive ambiguity is when you create an environment where the leaders can use this ambiguity and talk to each other and find solution for the conflict. And then it would be much easier when you have some solution for the conflict to communicate it to the general public. But if you do it before that, there will be social pressure. The public opinion is going to put a lot of pressure on the process. So that's why for some period you prefer to hide it from the general public. So that's why you lock the leaders behind closed doors so that they have a chance to talk to each other. And that's called this the constructive ambiguity. It's a nice word for not telling anything to public.
I see. So how did this play out in the context of the Karabakh conflict?
Well, I believe they had the first phase. It's okay. It's normal. It's part of the old processes. We have seen this issue in many other conflicts in previous years. But I believe that there were too many fails in peace process between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and they were not recognized. So constructive ambiguity, it's good. It should be implemented, but the failings, there were too many failings. And I believe that once those failings happened, that constructive ambiguity turned into destructive ambiguity. And it was something stopping the process or leading the process toward the wrong way. And as a result, we have what we have during the 44-day war in Karabakh. So I believe that constructive ambiguity in the 1990s, leaders could talk to each other and there was some resolution. But first time when constructive ambiguity failed was when Petrosyan was forced to resign by his close associates, and then Armenian parliament was gone down, and then there was a fail of the Rambouillet process and then Kazan in 2011, and then you have failing in the process after the April 2016 war. There was some quite important steps taken during the short period, but as a result, constructive ambiguity played its role, but each time it failed, and it turned into the destructive ambiguity. And as a result, we see that in the end of December, when Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan came out, did a press conference, addressed the people, and talked about the document on the negotiation table. There was a big shock in society. So that's the quite important moment that you realize when constructive ambiguity fails and it turns into destructive ambiguity. And frankly speaking, I believe that the peace process failed to recognize those failings too many times. And hence we had one big war that killed 7,000 young people, and the peace process should recognize that it's because of the wrongdoings in the peace process that led to the war. So what we have to do, what kind of alterations we should bring into the peace process, that's very important. Otherwise, we are going to repeat what we did in the previous decades, and we are going to have another disastrous event. Probably not war, but something with wars. Huh? So that's why I believe that the peace process should review itself, what was done wrong, how to change it, how to move on, and bring in alternative voices from diaspora, even some nationalist voices. And of course, democratization of the whole process is important. So constructive ambiguity is good, but at the same time you have to make pause and tell the public what you are doing, at least to the people at the track 2 level who involved in the peace process at track 2 level. They are much more prepared for this kind of discussions. So that's why I believe that this democratization of the process in the previous years would help a lot. It would mean that the leaders wouldn't manipulate with the process, they wouldn't lie constantly to their own public opinion, and not create maximalist expectations from the society. And once you created that maximalist expectation, it's so hard to go back to public and ask for compromise. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened in this peace process. And that's why we failed. And that's why we have to recognize this moment and then find ways out, how we are going to move on. Hence, democratization of the process is very important.
Well, that was going to be my next question to you, so I'm glad that you touched on this issue of democratization of the process. Something else that you mentioned was that the re-election of Pashinyan was actually a peace message. Why is it that you feel this way?
Well, the expectation was that the person who is going to lose Karabakh cannot survive in Armenia. You know, that was expectations of the, basically in all Azerbaijan outside. Even those researchers from Armenia, that was their prediction in the media also, in the public sphere. But we saw that Pashinyan survived. He was not physically terminated. In contrary, he won the election with a quite high percentage. And that is a signal to Azerbaijan that those image about Armenian public opinion and what Armenians want is a bit different. There is an alternative approach to this issue. So when people come and say that Armenians want Karabakh and that's it, but when you see a person who lost a war gaining winning election and gaining quite a percentage of the popular vote, it means that there is an alternative process within Armenia, and hence it's a strong peace message to Azerbaijan also, that there are alternative processes, there are alternative, the people with alternative vision, and in this context we have to remember Georgi, who was a great person. I mean, in Armenia, he may not be recognized, but in Azerbaijan, he is recognized, and he helped many peace builders stay, on board, because he was the voice showing that there is alternative vision in Armenia, and there are people who think in a bit different way, and that helped peace process in Azerbaijan survive. And that's very important. So that's why he may not be recognized in Armenia, but he is recognized in Azerbaijan as part of the Azerbaijani peace process. I hope there is some Azerbaijani who is doing the same job that Georgi Vanyan did for Azerbaijani peace building community. And I believe that once we have this kind of people and their numbers increased, I believe that the perspectives for peace is going to be much brighter.
That's a wonderful positive note to end on. Thank you so much, Ahmad, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, Osman.